Liverpool almost certainly, I would have thought through to the next round of the UEFA Cup. Now we're back with Sports Night at 10:45. Good evening and welcome to Anfield. Liverpool Football Club have waited a long time for tonight, 6 years, of course, since the Heysel disaster. And tonight is a UEFA Cup first round match against Kuusysi, Lahti of Finland. And we're delighted that our special guest tonight is a man who graced the Liverpool team for so long, Alan Hansen. 600 plus performances and about 40 odd in Europe. I bet you miss it.
Certainly do. I wish I was playing tonight. It's great to be back in Europe. And I think that Liverpool have missed European competition, but also European competitions miss Liverpool.
Quite.
And hopefully tonight is all about football and Liverpool can show Europe what they're capable of doing.
Now what about Saunders and Rush playing together? They play for Wales together, of course, but never in club football. We're looking forward to that. Do you think they'll gel right for Liverpool?
I think they can do. I think good players can adapt to any situation. I think the two of them are special players. They're obviously great goal scorers. I think if Barnes was playing alongside them, I think they'd probably score a hat-trick each tonight, but they'll settle for 2 each, I think.
Now, Barnes would walk into the team because he's an Englishman. He's played for England. Liverpool have got a problem with this 4 foreigners only rule, haven't they? Perhaps more than most clubs.
Well, that's right. When we played in the last European Cup final in Heysel, there was only 1 Englishman in the side. So if you look at it from that point of view, they're struggling. And I was just looking at Liverpool's possible strongest lineup, and they have 6 non-English players in the side. So that means obviously they can't field the strongest side when everybody's fit.
So in a sense, Liverpool have got to pick 2 teams all season, haven't they? One to play in the English League and one to play in Europe.
That's right, and I think when Graham goes into the transfer market, obviously he's going to pick Englishmen first. But you can't lose fact of the sight that to get back into these tournaments, you've got to do well domestically. So really he's got to get the balance right.
Now, of course, they're expected to walk this tonight, aren't they, against Finnish opposition? The Finns have never been a real power in Europe, to say the least.
Well, hopefully they can do. I mean, I think it's lucky they've got a comparatively easy game in paper, although there's never easy games in Europe. But I think with all the injuries that they've got, if they'd come up against Inter Milan or Bayern Munich, they possibly might have come unstuck. Yeah. So from that point of view, it's just as well they've got this easy game in front of them.
How do you think Liverpool have started the season in the league so far?
Well, I watched them playing Saturday, and whilst the youngsters that have come in have done well, you can never beat experience. They're missing 5 key players, and I think to be where they are in the first division, they've done really well.
Well, let's enjoy it. Alan, thanks very much for the time being. Let's now join our match commentators, Trevor Brooking and John Monson.
Thanks, Desmond, and a symbolic moment on Merseyside as the teams come out to mark the end of Liverpool's 6-year exile from Europe. And a welcome from supporters, some of whom, the younger ones, may indeed be watching their first ever European game. If they are, their elders will no doubt tell them quickly that such an occasion in this stadium at Anfield used to be so commonplace. Liverpool, after all, played in Europe for 21 consecutive seasons prior to Heysel, and this overall is the club's 146th match in European competition. Times have changed, as Alan Hansen was saying, with the European regulations. And we shall be checking in just a moment on the lineups, but Graham soon has had to make 1 or 2 quite tricky decisions in view of this important new rule. And you'll see 1 or 2 faces in this Liverpool lineup that you're not familiar with, especially among the substitutes. But But that's going to be the way of it for English clubs in Europe this season. Nicky Tanner there is the blonde lad who plays in defence, and Steve McManaman there next to goalkeeper Mike Hooper. Steve Nicol is the captain because Ronnie Whelan is missing anyway with injury. He, of course, would have been another contender for one of the 4 non-English places. No such problems facing Kuusysi Lahti, because they are, by and large, with one honourable exception, all Finnish by birth. We are back is the call from the COP, and with Real Madrid also in this competition, as well as the 2 giant clubs that Alan Hansen mentioned, it's going to be quite a contest in the UEFA Cup this season. The new manager decided to play Mike Hooper in goal and not Bruce Grobbelaar to allow room for 4 other non-English players. Number 4, Steve Nicol, number 7, Dean Saunders, number 8, Ray Houghton, and number 9, Ian Rush, who starts a senior game for the first time this season. Still injured are Mark Wright, Ronnie Whelan and John Barnes. So opportunity is knocking for number 6, Nick Tanner in defence, number 5, Mike Marsh in midfield, and in attack for number 10, Steve McManaman, the 19-year-old Merseysider who's played in all Liverpool's matches this season and is preferred on the left tonight to Mark Walters. Indeed, Walters, who cost £1.2 million from Rangers, is named as one of 5 outfield substitutes. No goalkeeper named. 2 of them, Don Hutchison, who's 20, and Jamie Redknapp, who's 18, have yet to make their Liverpool debuts, and only 4 of Liverpool's 16 players have actually figured in European club football in their careers. Now, by contrast, 10 of the players in the Kuusysi Lahti lineup have had European experience. This is the club's 9th European campaign. They're currently 3 points clear at the top of the Finnish Championship and through to the semi-finals of the Cup there, because the season in Finland ends in October. All but one of these players are part-time professionals, the exception being the number 10, London-born Mike Belfield, who played in the Football League for Wimbledon in the early 80s, and now at the age of 30 is the joint top scorer in Finland this season with 20 goals for Kuusysi. Well, there are the 2 captains, Steve Nicol on the right of Liverpool and Jarmo Saastamoinen of Kuusysi, who is in fact their stopper. And I think we can expect to see the Finland team play with a sweeper, Trevor Brooking, and no excuse for you not getting the pronunciations right tonight, because you're married to a Finnish girl, and I've no doubt you'll tell me how they say the names.
I doubt that. Actually, I'm more concerned with Steve McManaman. Actually, that's a bit of a tongue twister, just as well I've been on soft drinks. But it is an evening, I think, for the Finnish team where they sort of look at the Liverpool side and they know the tradition. And I think they've come here to play very tight. They'll be quite happy, I'm sure, to keep the score line down and to go back to Finland and perhaps give their supporters hope. Whereas Liverpool, I think, realistically will be looking to give in a good performance, 6 years out of Europe, and I would be expecting sort of 4 or 5 goals perhaps, if they can get an early goal, which obviously will unsettle a Finnish team who I'm sure will get a lot goal side early on.
Well, Liverpool had a 1-1 draw here with Aston Villa on Saturday. Perhaps didn't quite strike their top form, but then they've had so many players in and out that Graham Souness hasn't been able to field a settled team for more than one reason. But now the crowd are settling down, and we have European football back at the home of the club who 6 times lifted a European club trophy. Liverpool all in red, Kuusysi Lahti in white, and the first leg, with the second match of course to come in a fortnight's time in Finland. The referee is Manfred Schluck from Switzerland. Fittingly, he earns his living as a watchmaker, so we should have very precise timing, and right on cue he gets this UEFA Cup match underway with McManaman, number 10 for Liverpool. Burrows. This is Tanner, over to Nicol. And straight away, Dean Saunders has been picked up by the number 3, Saastamoinen, and the number 6, Viljanen, is marking Ian Rush, leaving number 5, Janti, as the libero. McManaman. Just one player in the Kuusysi side, played for his country last week. Finland had a match in Portugal, and number 4 rather, Petri Järvinen, played on the left side of midfield in that game. This is Kinnunen with the throw. And the blonde head there of number 7, Lehtinen. On the far side, the fullback, Remes. That was Ray Houghton. And it's almost the first attack for the Finns, who don't expect to get into the Liverpool half too often tonight, if you listen to their pre-match chat. McMahon. There's Marsh, number 5. McMahon is penalised. In fact, Steve McMahon is at the moment part of the way through a domestic suspension for his sending off at Luton. He's allowed to play in Europe because that disciplinary system operates separately, and he's left number 7, Lehtinen, on the ground there and claiming he played the ball, or went for the ball, Trevor.
Well, Steve McMahon is a very strong tackler, and it was one of those that just ran away from the Finnish player, and when they went in, he went in very strong, and probably Lehtinen not used to that type of tackling, but of course the speed of the English game is something that they might find a little strange, even though Liverpool probably in the English league are one of those that do knock the ball around. But you can see the ball just sort of breaks away here, and Steve McMahon goes right through there with both feet, and he jumped a little bit, the Finnish player, Lehtinen, and that's what happens when you sort of go in half and half, you come off worse.
Of course, last season we saw McMahon injure himself very badly when he went into a very strong tackle with one of the Everton players. I think it was John Ebrell, and he took a long time to come back from that injury, actually, the England player. Anyway, he's on his feet here now, and Kuusysi have the free kick. Taken by Sastamoinen. That was Järvinen on the far side. And Ray Houghton. Here's Dean Saunders. He hasn't played in Europe before. Only Nicol and Rush surviving from previous Liverpool European teams. Steve McMahon played for Aston Villa in Europe, and Walters, if he comes on, for Glasgow Rangers. Here's Marsh. Gary Ablett. Burrows. And that's for McManaman. Rush in the centre with Saunders, and McManaman jinking through. Did it very nicely too. Oh, and he was shoved. It's seen by number 7, Lehtinen. Referee decides it's shoulder to shoulder. Gives nothing. Good run, though, by the 19-year-old. That'll run for McMahon. Almost shades of Steve Highway there for a moment, with Liverpool playing with a wide man on the left. And it's a free kick anyway on the right. Tanner is forward for it. Left for Nicol. Just taken away from Tanner by Sastamoinen. Saunders coming short. Here's McManaman again. And taking them on again, and forces a corner this time. After 5 minutes. Marsh and Houghton have gone across to organise that. McManaman, Saunders and Rush in the 6-yard box. This is Burrows.
Well, in those opening few minutes, there's no doubt the player who's caught everyone's eye, and that's Steve McManaman. Exciting wide player, likes to take people on, and he went past 3 defenders as if they weren't there, with some lovely close skill, and probably was a bit unlucky not to get an obstruction decision.
He started off as a central striker, actually, in the early games, and then has switched to the left with the return of Rush tonight. And plenty of ability. And could be an exciting player for the future. This is Tanner, who's been doing a solid job in the absence of Mark Wright. Now it's Steve Nicol. And over goes Viljanen. In fact, they've switched now. Viljanen's taking Saunders at the moment, and Sastamoinen has picked up Rush. Here's Houghton. Liverpool on that far side have given some tickets away to local people with special needs. More of that later. And here's Sastamoinen. Well, Kinnunen's got a job on holding McManaman, but now he's striding forward to take on Burrows at the other end. Over comes Gary Ablett. That's Lettinen who's made the run. Now Janti looks for Belfield. Järvinen. And away by Ablett. Ray Houghton. And Mike Marsh. McMahon. McManaman. He does beat people quite effortlessly. Here's Burrows. Oh, it's on by Marsh to Houghton, and Rush has made a very good run. He's in space, but he's offside.
They're the sort of runs that Ian Rush and Dean Saunders would try to make and try and break down the sweeper. On that occasion, the sweeper pushed up to play the offside. I'm interested to see how sort of Rush and Saunders work together, because over the last few years, particularly when Peter Beardsley was there, he's an individual type of player, can beat defenders. Ian Rush and Dean Saunders are sort of strikers who rely on service, so it'll be interesting to see how they gel together.
Well, the service there came from McManaman. It was Saunders who was doing the chasing. Marsh coming here. Back to Burrows. Down on the Liverpool bench, you can see Phil Boersma at the far end, and some of the younger substitutes nearer to us. This is Marsh. Saunders. He's going to be quite a fan's favourite, I think, McManaman, just from the very nature of the opening minutes. You've seen the way he plays. Very uninhibited about taking people on, and that's been the case in the 2 league games I've seen him play as well. There's another offside flag.
The Finnish team have already got the number 8 Rin back to help number 9 Kinnunen. They're doubling up because they can see, I think, even in these opening 10 minutes, that McManaman is the danger man. The good thing is he can go both ways. Sometimes as a wide player, I mean, as you say, he can play up the middle, but they tend to favour one side, but he seems just as comfortable on left or right foot.
came through the Liverpool schoolboy team, Steve McManaman. So he's very much a local product at a club which have often brought players in for big fees. Here's Steve Nicol. There's another local lad, Mike Marsh. Won the tackle well. Rush. Saunders to his left. Still Rush. Saunders! That's Liverpool's first goal back in Europe. And it's been scored by the most expensive player in the English game. Dean Saunders, £2.9 million, marks the return with a goal after 11 minutes. Struck it well with his right foot, although the keeper, Rovio, didn't seem to make too good a job of that, but Liverpool are in front.
A lot of credit to Mike Marsh, who won the initial tackles, played it to Ian Rush there, rode one tackle, got half blocked, and Dean Saunders struck it well, but you'll see Rovio trying to get one hand to it, but the power too strong for him, and a good, typical instinctive finish by Dean Saunders.
I suppose we ought to make the point that the last Liverpool goal in Europe, scored by a man whose career was effectively ended by injury, Jim Beglin, back in the semi-final at 85. And here's the man who scored the first one for 6 years. And marks his own European club debut. He scored, of course, for Wales last week, didn't he, Saunders? Got the winner against Brazil. So he's not doing too badly trying to justify his fee. And Ian Rush having a hand in the build-up, so the combination that Desmond Lynam and Alan Hansen were talking about at the start has already had some success. Good play by Marsh, though, as Trevor said before that. Here's Belfield. Leitonen to Remes. Marsh. Rovio, the goalkeeper, only took over as the #1 halfway through this Finnish season from Honen, who was on the bench. Liverpool's preparation for this match was as meticulous and methodical as ever, and Graham Souness was being a little cautious yesterday, saying the days of cricket scores have gone. Liverpool in the past have rattled up 10 and 11 in European games. He didn't think it would be like that tonight, but they've certainly made a good start. But now Kuusysi have a free kick in the Liverpool half. Taken by Annunen. Here's David Burrows. McMahon. Movement again ahead of Saunders and Rush, just switching positions. Oh, and it nearly worked. Rush pulled away from his marker. So 15 minutes gone in this UEFA Cup tie at Anfield. It's Liverpool 1, Kuusysi Lahti from Finland 0. Scorer Dean Saunders on 11 minutes. Offside flag was up against Saunders. You can't see it from inside the ground, but there's a huge development going on behind that stand on the far side. Liverpool are reconstructing the Kemlyn Road stand, and ultimately the Kop will be seated. So there's quite a lot of work going on at this ground, making it, or improving one of the finest stadiums in Europe. McMahon. And in fact, quite a few offside decisions, Trevor, early on at that end.
Well, Ian Rush and Dean Saunders are so pacey, and they're trying to get behind the Finnish defence. And just at the moment, the timing just not quite linking up with the balls in from midfield.
There's Mike Hooper. Has had first-team experience, of course, before, when he's been in for Bruce Grobbelaar. He's 27, in fact, the Liverpool goalkeeper tonight. Here's Ian Rush, and here's Saunders. And to his left, McManaman, if he can find him. McMahon has. Marsh. McManaman. It's McMahon again. Liverpool's practice passing game. Burrows with the long cross. Rush up on the far side, Saunders also. Sastamoinen for Kuusysi. Now Nicol. Oh, and Tanner's in there, and so was Rush. He was surprised to see it come, I think. Beyond Tanner to him. A little bit of a let-off for the Finns, that. And here's a chance perhaps for Belfield in the centre, and he's got away from Steve Nicol. He looked hard at the referee, Mike Belfield. I would have to say, I thought that was a foul, Trevor.
Well, the referee has given the handball, saying that as he went down, he did strike his hand, but I think he was on his way down, as you say, because it was a trip and a little bit complacency perhaps creeping him to allow him to break free, because Liverpool did have numbers back defending, and just on that occasion went to sleep.
I think it was Steve Nicol who caught him from behind, actually. Anyway, Liverpool got away with that, and here's Burrows. Saunders. Very much a one-man attack, Mike Belfield, tonight. The others have been told to pack the midfield and support him when they can. He had a few games for Wimbledon in the lower divisions of the Football League while they were making their way through. That was Anjunen. Rush with the sharp brain there to come off his man and join in the build-up. Bearing in mind it's his, or it should be his first full game of the season in the first team after an Achilles injury, which actually seems to have spread around the Liverpool camp. Quite a few of them suffering, including John Barnes at the moment. Janti for Kuusysi. Sastamoinen. Now, is he offside? He is. It's Belfield.
As you say, it's going to be very difficult for Mike Belfield to get more than the odd occasion unless he gets support behind this Liverpool defence. And it's going to be a case, I think, of the Finnish team, you know, trying, if they can, to get somebody up with him, because otherwise he's going to have a very hard evening.
Interesting point regarding the Finnish goalkeeper who I was talking about earlier, but we'll just stay with this free kick for the moment. McManaman was fouled, but this goalkeeper has got a problem tonight that may not be apparent with the laws, which I'll mention. For the time being, he's having to defend a free kick. With 20 minutes gone in the first half, we're waiting for Mike Marsh to finish tying up his shoes. And Marsh curls it in, and the goalkeeper gathered that well. The position with Rovio is that the new law affecting goalkeepers only being able to pick the ball up once, which is applied obviously internationally now, doesn't apply in the Finnish league until 1992, simply because they couldn't introduce it halfway through their season, which runs from spring to autumn. So Rovio has had to be reminded that he's playing under different rules to those which he plays under in Finland. I'm just wondering if the referee will allow him the benefit of the doubt or not, if he does that. Here's Saunders. McMahon to Burrows. That's a piece of obstruction by number 9, Kinnunen. It's an indirect free kick. Tanner has gone up on the far side behind those two, and McManaman's in there as well now with Rush. Burrows drives it long. Nicol had come up. One thing that hasn't changed down the years out of Europe has been Liverpool's style of play. Still the familiar passing game across a pitch which is in beautiful condition. Here's Ray Houghton. Ablett, good ball. Burrows. Corner given. Houghton and Marsh there. Burrows. Back in for Marsh. Bit of obstruction perhaps by Lehtinen.
You mentioned the passing game of Liverpool, and having been so impressed with Germany at Wembley last week, it's very reassuring to see one of our top sides passing the ball such as this, because you do want all our youngsters watching to really learn the basics of the good football that Liverpool play, and I think long term that's what we have to do, because there have been a number of games this season where I've seen quite a few sides sort of tended to play the long ball style, but at this European level and international level, the passing game has to be the future.
Here's Saunders. Well played by Rinn, number 8. McManaman. Marsh to McMahon, but there's nobody on that wing for Liverpool. Good 1-2 there. It puts Järvinen in a good position. Drove it against Nick Tanner. Oh, and well pulled back. Lehtinen. That was an opportunity for Kuusysi without a doubt. Number 7. Kalle Lehtinen, the 21-year-old, given a shooting chance that he could hardly have expected in the Liverpool penalty area. And it's a warning to Liverpool perhaps as well. Yanti. That was a nice move, actually, built up down the left wing, and Lehtinen probably couldn't believe the space he had.
He had time to control it. I think he got a bit excited, suddenly saw sight of the goal, a bit of glory perhaps back in Finland, and snatched at it, but he did have time to control it and try and pick his spot, and I'm sure he'll think about that one on the flight home.
Yes, it would have been a goal in front of the Kop, wouldn't it? And if you talk to the Liverpool supporters whose memories go right back to the start of European football here in 1964, they'll tell you that the first match played here was against an Icelandic team. Liverpool won 6-1. And the biggest cheer of the night came when the Icelanders scored at the Kop end. Here's Belfield. Oh, maybe they're going to do it here. Oh, not a bad effort on the turn by the Englishman. With 25 minutes gone and his team 1 down, and I think he got a few appreciative smiles there from the crowd, Trevor.
Yeah, I think they were just glad that the ball didn't hit them, because he did crack it, didn't he? I mean, it was at an angle which I'm sure would have never beaten Mike Hooper. And again, just that little bit of composure needed perhaps in that last third of the field. And there again, Liverpool giving it away. I think Graham Souness, I don't see any doubt about the result, but he'd be looking to try and get his side, because they have been out for 6 years, to get good habits back again, because there are a lot of quality sides perhaps in the later rounds, and those sort of openings will perhaps be more costly against better quality opposition.
Well, Mike Belfield, who had that shot, has also been quite a useful ally in ticket sales tonight. He asked for 15 for his friends and relatives who still live here. Saunders. Forward by, oh, that's Belfield off on his own, but he's offside. Pass came there from Annunen. So Liverpool still leading by the Saunders goal. But naturally, the home crowd are expecting more. This is Nicol. Tanner. Well, offside McMahon this time.
When you get a side defending in depth as the Finnish team are, the spearmen are always the back four, and there's not a sort of Gary Ablett and Nick Tanner, perhaps the two central defenders, they could perhaps bring it out of defence, I think, and try and commit some of the Finnish midfield or the defenders. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to get the space.
Here's Belfield. Well, that's probably a better opportunity than the one he had before. He got away from Tanner, there's no doubt about that. And his expression reflects that he feels he should have scored. The team from Finland suddenly building up well. A good flick on took Ablett out the game. Tanner wasn't close enough, and he made a hash of the shot, did Mike Belfield.
Well, he should have scored. And Nick Tanner, I think, was relieved, because he just thought, I think, Gary Ablett was going to make the original interception, didn't go with the runner, and then, what, 12 yards, 10 yards from goal, certainly should have got it on target.
Well, Liverpool have been warned. Here's Houghton. That was Marsh. Saunders back to Tanner. Manaman hustled out of it a bit. Oh, and they could get away again here. No, the pass wasn't good enough. It's Tanner to Marsh instead. Burrows. Played by Burrows. McManaman, offside Burrows. Much to get forward, as all fullbacks do. David Burrows, he scored a spectacular goal here in the Merseyside derby that I saw a few weeks ago. In just about 45 seconds. And he combined quite nicely there with Steve McManaman. And Liverpool getting some thrust on their left-hand side there. Point you were making about central defenders coming out with the ball, of course, one of the finest exponents of that, the man in the seat with Desmond Lynam tonight, Alan Hansen. And it's part of the game I know you're very keen on, to see more English players do that, Trevor.
Yes, I think, to be fair to Nick Tanner and Gary Ablett, they're a new partnership, and I think at European level, I do think that sides do have to have players at the back who can carry the ball, because a lot of the away sides come and get men back. They're looking for a sort of 0-0 or 1-0 at worst, and perhaps to pinch a goal. And if your back lads don't bring it out, it means the midfield players and the strikers are always marked down. And I think they've got to commit those people, and that's, as you say, what Alan Hansen did so well.
Well, we have a quarter of an hour left in the first half here at Anfield. With the earlier kick-off time, we're conscious that some of you may have come in later and missed the goal. It's 1-0 to Liverpool. Scorer was Dean Saunders. Here's Nichols' cross. And there have been one or two promising moments from Kuusysi Lahti, who are by no means a pushover if the first half hour is any guide at all. Whether they'll tire being part-time players, we shall have to wait and see.
They've reacted well to conceding the goal, haven't they? Because I'm sure the team talk was, well, let's let one in early on. And the 11th minute, Dean Saunders scored, and you just wondered whether it would unsettle them, but they've responded well.
Here's Belfield. Now that is a promising looking ball, and he's got Järvinen in here. They're coming up from midfield as well, and Lehtinen, that hit Nick Tanner. Lehtinen again. Remes. Järvinen. And the Liverpool crowd suddenly getting behind the Finland team, and Remes can't get to that. It's Tanner again. But this is making something of a match of it. The last 10 minutes, they seem to have grown in confidence, the Finns.
Well, they've had a hat-trick of very good openings. Leightonen's had 2 of them, and I'm not sure if he didn't hit his own man there. Rin, the number 8, seemed to run right across him, but it was a good scoring opportunity.
And it's made the Liverpool supporters realise that their backing is needed for the English team, for whom Marsh now gets the ball. Nichols' cross, and the goalkeeper in 2 minds, and Kinnunen having to react in a way that he wouldn't normally have done. Keeper hesitated badly there, and Liverpool have the bonus of a corner kick. Well, there have been, as you say, 3 moments when Lahti could have equalised. Here's Burrows. Nicol in again. Oh, it's a good header by Houghton. It's a goal. Ray Houghton makes it 2-0 in the 33rd minute. And that was simple build-up. Steve Nicol, the captain, floating the ball in. Ray Houghton lost a marker, nodded it over the goalkeeper, who was about 4 yards off his line, and it's 2-0 to Liverpool. And what about this one, Trevor?
Well, Ray Houghton would be very pleased with that one. He was sort of about as regular as goal scorer with his head as I was, and so to get that one with twisting with his neck, to get the power and floating over the goalkeeper, he'll be delighted with. I should think he'll take a bit of stick with his teammates, because, as I say, he's not very often on the score sheet with his head. Well,
I almost said you weren't very often, Trevor, but I didn't mean that unkind. Do you remember, I think, when we were doing the Merseyside derby at Goodison once, and Houghton scored with a header, and we actually thought it possibly was the first time he'd headed a goal in his senior career? I think he actually told us that.
Well, I'm not sure if this is the second, but it was a very good hook, because it was just behind him. Good through ball by Steve Nicol, but the goalkeeper half coming for the through ball, and in the end caught in no man's land, but you couldn't really blame him. It was an extremely good header.
So 2-0 then to Liverpool. Here's McManaman, but it hasn't been all one way. It might be now. This is Sastamoinen and Rin. And Belfield gets the other side of Ablett and sets up Lehtinen again, and that's got in off Nicky Tanner, I think. Lahti have scored. Lehtinen celebrates. I think it caught Tanner, and it's 2-1. And at the Kop end, Kuusysi score a goal that perhaps they shouldn't have ever expected before tonight, but it was set up well by Belfield, and yes, it definitely goes in off Tanner. It was the deflection that deceived Hooper and left him with no chance, actually. And Lehtinen, who missed the 2 earlier chances, suddenly sees his luck change. It went completely the other way because of the deflection. And that, of course, Trevor, is an away goal, isn't it?
Well, it is important. I mean, I still think, you know, significantly over the 2 legs Liverpool will get through, but we've said that they have been a little bit lax. 3 good opportunities before that. On that occasion, Gary Ablett was going to let the ball run through to his keeper, suddenly realised it didn't have the weight, and then Belfield got it from there.
Here's McManaman. Well, this is developing into a jolly good game, isn't it? And There's Rin for Kuusysi, who are demonstrating here that they are no mean performers. And believe it or not, Finnish teams against English teams before tonight, I think there'd been something like 5 ties in European competition, and there'd only ever been 1 goal scored by a Finland team against an English team. Well, that's now 2. Here's Burrows. McManaman. And I think 30-something conceded. Usually there have been high scores, but it's 2-1 here, and full marks to the part-timers from Lahti. Down on the bench there, they've got something to celebrate. In fact, the coach is at the far end holding the piece of paper. That's a very personable gentleman called Antti Muurinen, 37 years old, and he certainly did his homework on this tie, I can tell you. And McManaman, Rush going inside him. McManaman, oh, Rush stopped just when McManaman put the ball in space. I think there was a flag up, actually, wasn't there?
I think that's why Ian Rush checked out. If he had it earlier, he would have been in, and then he had to stop. But I do enjoy, there's a buzz about the ground, isn't there, when McManaman gets the ball, takes people on. And he is the one player at the moment, especially as they haven't got John Barnes, who can go past defenders like that.
We have 8 minutes left in the first half of this UEFA Cup tie, coming to you live from Anfield. Liverpool lead Kuusysi Lahti by 2-1. Belfield, who set up that goal for the Finns. It went in off the man there, Tanner. Houghton. This is McMahon. Burrows. Tanner. Away by Yanti. This is Nickel. Marsh. Houghton. Header out by Viljanen. Marsh. Nickel again with the supply line. On by Saunders, on by Rush. McManaman. And still. And Rush. No. Burrows. Nickel in again. And that's fallen for McManaman.
Again, good close control. At the moment, he's perhaps had 3 or 4 half openings and hasn't quite swung as freely when he's going for goal as he does when he's taking players on.
Well, at the moment, 2-1 down, and of course an away goal in hand. You've got to say that the team from Finland are very much in the tie. Steve McMahon with an important tackle. Oh, would have been even more important if he could have got Houghton away, which he nearly did. It was a great thrill for these part-timers to play here and to score at the Kop end, even though technically it must be an own goal. Will give them something to remember, whatever else may happen. In fact, looking through the handbook that the Kuusysi club produced, many of the players nominated Liverpool as their favourite team.
I think that'll still be the case, won't it, after scoring here as well.
Here's McManaman. There are 5 minutes to go in the first half here at Anfield. And Liverpool would certainly appreciate a third goal if they can get one. Here's Burrows. Saunders. Kinnunen. Rin. Tanner. Well, Nicol certainly seeing plenty of the ball at right back. And he thought the crowd behind the goal might like to see it as well.
You definitely queued that one up well there, John. Seeing a lot of the ball, and then next minute he shinned that one. I bet he was pleased with that when he sees that on the video.
Here's Belfield. They took a goal away from Mike Belfield in Finland the other week, deciding when he thought he'd scored direct from a corner, they called it an own goal. So if they do it like that over there, they certainly can't give the one tonight to Lehtinen. It'll have to go down to Tanner. And doesn't matter. It's something that they'll be proud of. And it's put Liverpool on their mettle again now. 2-1. Three minutes in the half, and this is Rinn. Belfield. And the flag stayed down there, and Mike Hooper coming about 30 yards. Here's Ablett for Liverpool. Marsh.
Well, you have to say it's been a first half when Liverpool totally dominated it from a possession point of view. But if you look at the actual clear-cut chances, although Liverpool are 2-1 up, the Finnish team have had three others, which... And their goalkeeper, I can't remember actually making a save from a clear-cut opening for Liverpool, so they've done very well.
Belfield again, and they've got two on the far side. One of them is unmarked, and if that had gone beyond the covering Steve Nicol, they were in. Annunen, Rinn. There was a man on the far side there, Järvinen, who was absolutely clear. And what we were saying last week about international football, it seems to apply to club football in Europe as well. There are no longer any pushovers. Everybody's so much better organised and so much more athletic than they were when European football first got underway. Here's Saunders. So, into the last minute of the half, and Lehtinen, again, they found space on that side. Järvinen, 3 up in support for Kuusysi.
And the Anfield crowd giving some well-deserved applause the way the Finnish side played their way out of defence there, and as you said, they must be delighted with their own performance. And I think, you know, Liverpool 6 years out of Europe, and it has shown on occasions. They've got some younger players, and that's why it's been so important for the clubs to get back in, to sample this type of football and to get the experience, hopefully, at the international level later on.
In another sense, it's made it very entertaining, hasn't it? It was a real match on here. This is Houghton. McMahon. Ablett. Burrows. Oh, well played. Now McManaman. Saunders and Rush waiting in the centre. Play on, says the watchmaker from Switzerland, Mr. Schlupp, and he'll be blowing his whistle, I would think, any moment now for half-time. There was one injury. Sastamoinen with the tackle, Saunders, and Sastamoinen again away from McManaman. And that's the last action of the first 45 minutes, and Kuusysi Lahti will be mighty pleased with what they've achieved. They went one down after 11 minutes to Dean Saunders, but made 3 chances, then conceded number 2 to Ray Houghton on 33 minutes, but 2 minutes later, a shot from Lehtinen, wickedly deflected by Nick Tanner, past Mike Hooper, makes the half-time score at Anfield in this UEFA first leg Liverpool 2, Kuusysi Lahti from Finland 1.
Well, some super skills on show. I hope you've been enjoying them. Not all of them from Liverpool by any means. It's as though the Finns haven't quite read the script, Alan Hansen.
Yeah, they're really well organised. They get a lot of men behind the ball, but also they're breaking in numbers as well. And I think Liverpool really are lucky to be 2-1 up.
Do you? What about Rush and Saunders? Now, right at the beginning, we suggested that they'd go well together, or you did, and it looked that way. I mean, Rush set up the goal.
They got off to a perfect start, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, a goal in 11 minutes, you would have thought that an avalanche is going to come. But like you said, the Finns haven't read the script, and really, Trevor made the point, if they'd showed a little bit more composure in front of goals, then Liverpool could have been in trouble.
I'm sure our viewers would like to see a lot more of McManaman. I mean, he really flattered the game to begin with, but they haven't given him the ball that much.
He had a great start to the game. I mean, the lad goes by people for fun. He went by 2 or 3 players with ease, but he's really in and out of the game. I mean, when he gets the ball, he's doing well, but he's fallen out of the game for 10 or 15 minutes. Really, Liverpool can't afford that. I mean, if Barnes was playing there, he'd be on the ball constantly, and he'd be creating something. Liverpool have created nothing, apart from the 2 goals they've scored. Liverpool, and really, it's the final ball. The final ball has been terrible, and as well, sorry,
that's all right.
The back 4 are all over the place. They're just not playing as a unit. You've got to play off one another when you're playing as a back 4, and certainly tonight Liverpool aren't doing that.
Well, that was your speciality, and we'll hear more from you in due course and look back at some of the incidents there. But for the moment, let's enjoy some of the best of the action from last night's matches in European competition.
The passport to Europe that Tottenham collected last May was endorsed by a preliminary round victory over Sparkasse Stockholm. Last night, Austria became neutral territory as Spurs faced Hajduk Split. The Yugoslav Cup winners arrived in Linz without a game of any sort in their own troubled country and by a long, tortuous route. But their play made light of their problems.
Novakovic again. The old right half to outside left pass. Morna looking for the cross, got a deflection, a really good reaction save by Walker. Actually, I think came off Gary Mabbott last. And young Walker, who's found a lot buzzing around him, really reacted very well. Excellent save. Some 2 Tottenham players go for the same ball and get in a mess. Kosniku played it inside and off the crossbar. Tremendous strike by Vucevic. Here's to Nick. Novakovic. Oh, and it's gone right through. Hit from way out. And young Ian Walker allowed it to slip through. And it's brought great delight from those who made the difficult journey from Split. Hit it cleanly enough, the bounce, and the bounce second time underneath the arms of the goalkeeper. Vucevic gets it through, Kosniku beats the trap and misses the target. What a let-off for Tottenham. And Stewart gets the header, and it's wide of the post.
The Welsh Cup gave Swansea a place in Europe, but under this season's new regulations, they were hit hard. The majority of the side had to have Welsh qualification. So reserves and youngsters were thrust into Swansea's white shirts against one of Europe's glamour teams, Monaco.
Well, a chance here for Weah. That was excellent work by Kendall, but the referee now has no hesitation. That has to be a penalty. So it's Passy against Kendall. And that's simple enough for Monaco as Passy gives them the lead inside the first 10 minutes. Deep testing out the defence, and Barros is through, and that could be the second goal. That was beautifully taken by the Portuguese international star, Rubaros. Puel gives it away to Legg. Legg is in here surely for a goal for Swansea City. Andrew Legg gets them back into the match.
Glenavon took their place in Europe as runners-up in the Irish Cup final, and that gave them a first leg at home against Ilves Tampere of Finland. Glenavon in blue have never won in Europe despite 12 campaigns spread over 34 years.
Chance for Hjelm. Aaltonen has scored. McBride, McCoy inside of McBride. Oh, this could be a goal. Ferguson looks for Ferguson, gets it. Conville. Was it a penalty? Yes, it was. An important penalty. Goal. What a strike. Chacon looks for Aaltonen. Oh, here's a chance for Jarolevich. Goal. 2-each. The Englishman has done it. Good turn by Ferguson. Good cross too, and away by Chacon. Here's a chance for Conville. Yes!
The most prized club trophy, the Champions Cup, went last season to Yugoslavia. But punishment for misbehaviour by their fans meant that Red Star Belgrade had to begin defending their title at Szeged in Hungary. If neutral territory raised the hopes of the Northern Ireland double winners Portadown, here in light blue, Miroslav Taniga's header damped them after only 15 minutes. In last season's final, Red Star were timid, lacking in self-belief. No sign of that here. Vlada Stosic leads a 5-man attack that makes it 2-0, helped by a deflection. But 2 free kicks in the last quarter hour reflected the true measure of Red Star's superiority. Sinisa Mihailovic's goal. Last season, Prosinecki would have taken charge of these situations, but following his departure to Real Madrid, Mihailovic is an able deputy with a deadly left foot. His second goal, final score Red Star 4, Portadown 0.
We'll have more European highlights for you in Sports Night later on this evening, but of course we're concentrating here on the UEFA Cup tie. Liverpool back in Europe for the first time in 6 years. If you're just joining us, welcome to Anfield. And Liverpool 2-1 up against Kuusysi Lahti. It's not enough, Alan Hansen, really, is it? They wouldn't like to go to Finland for the second leg 2-1.
Certainly not. I think they need, especially with the Finns having an away goal, I think they need 3 or 4 goals in front to go over there and be quite comfortable.
Yeah, let's go through the goals, actually, because, as you were saying, the first one, super start for them, rush involved, Saunders finished it all off.
It really was a perfect start. I mean, Mars does quite well here, quite strong, good tackle, and then he plays a little ball to Rush, who goes past the first man, he tries to hit it, and Saunders has read it well. A good strike, but I've got to have a question mark about the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper really should have saved it.
Was there an element of good fortune about it here?
No, I think Mick Marsh has made 2 good tackles. And the ball's
here,
broken.
I meant. I think when the ball came off.
It's broken kindly for Saunders, yes. But he's a striker, isn't he? He's got to react. Well, maybe it was a good strike. I think a top-class goalkeeper would have saved it myself.
He can certainly finish. And then Ray Houghton got in with a header. Now, I don't think Ray scores that many headers over the years.
No. Well, this is the first good ball in. It was a good ball in from Steve Nicol. But again, Ray scored from 16 yards with a back header. Yes. And I think the goalkeeper, again, Trevor thought he was maybe a bit unlucky, but I'd have a question mark about him. If Ray Houghton's beating you with a back header from 16 yards, I think you're in a bit of trouble.
Now the own goal, it turned out to be an own goal, but I mean, really, the Finns did deserve a goal at this stage.
I think they did.
They had a bit of luck here.
Well, I don't know. The lad was strong. Gary Ablett tried to let the ball go past him, and he's paid for it. And I mean, there's 3 Liverpool defenders there picking up nobody.
It did come off a deflection, though, of course. Letton's shot. Would that go down as an own goal?
Oh, definitely an own goal. He's unlucky, and Hooper's unlucky. He's covered the shot as well. It's hitting off Nicky Tanner's leg and it's gone in the bottom corner. But it's no more than the Finns deserved.
But of course, you're quite right. I mean, they had 2 much better chances than that earlier on, which they fluffed. This boy Belfield, who's played a little bit in the English league some years back for Wimbledon, he doesn't look a bad player.
He looks a good player. I mean, to be fair, they're all very comfortable on the ball. And they are well organised, but the thing that's impressed me about them is that they're breaking in numbers, which is unusual for a team coming here in this sort of competition, especially a Finnish team.
Yeah. Let's just look at a little bit of the skill we saw early in the match from McManaman. I mean, he's a super young player, so slight, and he looks as though he could be blown off the ball. But what about these skills here?
This boy's got tremendous potential. I've watched him since he was a 16-year-old, and he just goes by people. The great thing about him is he can go either side. Great bit of skill there. He's maybe a bit, if he'd be a bit stronger. You know, in the last 3 years he's put on a bit of weight, and I think another couple of years' time he could be a wonder player.
Yeah. Well, here's a man who's got all those skills and has got the power as well. John Barnes. He's talking with Ray Stubbs.
John, talking there about Steve McManaman, do you think Liverpool should try and get the ball to him a little bit more often?
Yeah, I think he's the one person who looks as if, you know, he can unlock the defence. But in saying that, I think they've really wised up to him a bit now and got a lot of people over there. So I think when he does get the ball, if he can switch it early, I think we'd be able to get him down the right and vice versa. You know, if they can keep the ball moving and switch it early, because I think that we're looking, you know, for any one person to win the game, and rather than doing it as a team.
It's not been easy, has it, so far?
No, they're making it very difficult. They're just getting a lot of people back behind the ball and not really putting the back four under a lot of pressure. And as you know, footballers will tell you, when they have a lot of time, it's very difficult. But I think this half we'll step it up a gear, and I think if we can keep the ball moving, you know, we could do much better this half.
Do you think Liverpool should be playing more like a team in the second half?
Yeah, because as I said, Steve McManaman looks very dangerous, so he's going past people, but I think really we've got to really look to move the ball much quicker. I think we're looking for an individual to beat a few players and create something rather than making it happen as a team, and I think that's probably what Graham Souness will be emphasising.
Liverpool supporters and supporters of England want to know how close you are to fitness.
Well, I'm hoping to be fit in the next couple of weeks. It's very difficult to say because, you know, there are days when it feels fine and days when it doesn't feel too good. But you know, I'm hopeful that I'll be fit in the next couple of weeks.
Talking about your performance on the field, off the field, that's quite a smart jack you have on tonight. Where do you get that one from?
Well, no advertising, so I can't really say where I got it from. But you know, this is the only way I'm going to get noticed, because Liverpool is renowned for, when the players are injured, not really taking too much notice of them. So I think this is the only way I'm going to get noticed.
You'll be looking forward to getting back, obviously.
I am, yeah, because you know, looking at nights like this, European, well, UEFA Cup, but a European night, it's tremendous for Liverpool, for England, and for the fans. So it'd be nice to be a part of it. So it'd be nice to get back just playing.
Thanks for talking to us.
I used to go to that, Taylor, once upon a time. Another key man not in the side, of course, is Mark Wright. Now, they miss his quality at the back, it would seem to me. What do you think?
Well, obviously they miss Mark Wright and they miss Ronnie Whelan as well. I mean,
of course,
Liverpool look a different side when Whelan isn't playing. I mean, obviously Mark Wright's new and he'll bring some stability to the side. But as far as Ronnie Whelan's concerned, defensively, Liverpool always look a better side when he's playing, simply because he breaks up so much in front of the back four. And certainly tonight, the back four have been dodgy. Like I said before, they're not. If you're playing zonal defence, you've got to play off one another, and they don't seem to be doing that. And I think there would have been some tough talking at half-time.
I bet. From Graham Souness, and I suspect he will demand some goals in the second half, so stay with us. I'm sure there are bound to be some, aren't you, Alan? And let's now join our match commentators again, Trevor Brooking and John Motson.
You may have seen Mark Walters coming out there as the players walked out, and in a moment we can just confirm that he's come on as a substitute in place of Mike Marsh. But over on that far side, Liverpool have handed out some 300 free tickets for this European match to people in special need. That's part of a new community project at the club here, which is being organised by the new community officer, who is Brian Hall, who I'm sure you'll remember played in the Liverpool team of the 70s. Hall and Highway it used to be, didn't it? The university graduates. Well, they're both on the staff here now because Steve Highway is a youth coach. And being an old winger, he'll appreciate the reasons why Mark Walters has been brought on to give the Liverpool attack some more pep and perhaps some more width. We shall see exactly where he lines up, but certainly Mike Marsh has gone off. Mark Walters, who's played and scored in Europe for Rangers, has come on. And Trevor Brooking, what do you make of that?
Well, I think John Barnes mentioned as well at half-time that Steve McManaman is the only individualist in the lineup. When you've got a lot of people back, and as they did, they started to gang up on him, you need another player who can go past defenders and unlock the side. And I think that's why Mark Walters will hopefully play out wide on the right and try to go past defenders and start opening them up.
Yes, it's a tactical move by Graham Souness. Marsh was not injured, but Walters has come on the right-hand side, wide on the right. McManaman staying wide on the left, and that means that Ray Houghton has moved into the central midfield position alongside McMahon, vacated by Marsh. Walters, in fact, has scored a couple of penalties recently in league games for Liverpool. Liverpool now attacking the Kop end in the second half of this UEFA Cup tie. There's Yanti, the sweeper, back in by Houghton, Saunders, and there's an offside flag up. Talking about young supporters or people who follow the game, the directors of Kuusysi were given an excellent dinner last night by Liverpool Football Club, hosted by David Moores, the chairman, and Peter Robinson, the chief executive. And talking to their president, there are 600 young people affiliated to Kuusysi who play football in various age groups. And from 6 years old upwards, they can actually belong to the club, boys and girls, and play in organised teams. I know that the development of 6-, 7- and 8-year-olds is something our FA are very keen to encourage. There are some big plans for that, I gather. Mini football courses which will be run to enable young children to play before they can go to schools of excellence at the age of 9 under the FA's scheme. So the blueprint for the future isn't just about a Premier League. Having said that, we're back in Europe, and it's McManaman on the far side for Liverpool. Number 9 is Rush. Development of young players, of course, so much part now of every club's organisation. Here's Tanner. Nicol. Walters curling it in. Oh, and McManaman, the player who went down, the Kop screamed for a penalty, but the Swiss referee wasn't as generous as the official who gave Liverpool a penalty against Aston Villa last Saturday. And McManaman will get nothing for that, because in the opinion of the referee, he threw himself down.
Yes, I think the referee was explaining to McManaman that he did think he dived for that. And to be fair, you see Mark Warders cross, and McManaman would have needed a stepladder, wouldn't he, to have got to that one, so the right decision.
Oh, here's Houghton now. McManaman. It's McManaman again. He's got behind them. He's got 3 in the centre. And he's forced a corner, but you can sense the excitement he's going to generate whenever he gets the ball.
Yeah, he went past 2 players very well there, but there was a critical couple of seconds when he could have got the early cross in, and that's just what he must learn to do. Having gone past somebody, get it over early.
Here's Steve McMahon. Liverpool have got everybody forward. That's Gary Ablett's pass that went astray. For anybody joining the match late, Liverpool lead by 2-1. Saunders and Houghton, the scorers for Liverpool, before an own goal from Tanner pulled one back. And here come Lahti again. McManaman. We're 5 minutes into the second half here at Anfield. And here's Steve McMahon. And again. McManaman. Burrows. Saunders.
Good cross from Burrows, and that's what you want if you're a striker. Dean Saunders and Ian Rush, who sort of had a sort of split second to get away from their markers, make the near post run, and Burrows didn't hesitate when the ball was knocked back to him. Here he comes onto it, whips it in, and Saunders just got a half a yard for a minute, but it just was too high for him to keep it down.
Forward by Remes. Now Belfield, but he's offside.
It was offside then. It's a dangerous game Liverpool will play because in the English game you tend to have people up against you and you can play the offside that much easier, but the way the Europeans play and Finnish team this evening, they get people running from deep, and it's not easy to play offside against a system like that.
Forward by Ablett to Saunders. Leitonen. And here's Järvinen. And onside this time, Belfield. Järvinen's gone racing down the middle for a possible return. But the cross was too near the keeper from the Finland point of view. And as a result of that, Hooper has found McManaman. All the play at the moment is on the left side for Liverpool. Walters hasn't really had a pass out here yet. Burrows. In fact, he's got his arm up now, Walters, trying to get into the game. This is Houghton. McMahon, now it could go right, surely. Walters cross, Saunders is in there, so was Rush. That's got the crowd going a bit. Graham Souness standing in the centre, and little anxiety down there. Burrows. Ablett. Offside. Well, they're very well organised, aren't they, Lahti, Trevor?
They are, and you've got to hit the wide men early. I mean, Mark Walters got it early just now and did one of his favourite little tricks to beat defenders. He steps over it one way and goes the other, and he got his cross in early. And I think if Waters and McManaman get the ball early enough, they will go past the defenders and then get the crosses in from the dangerous positions near the goal line. There's no real dangers crossing from sort of diagonally deep positions. You've got to get behind defences like this.
Yes, there were some people who mistakenly thought by now we would be counting up the goals. It's been far from one way, this match. And here's McManaman for Liverpool. Tanner to Nicol. Header was by number 4, Järvinen. Quite a few of these Kuusysi players have shown a good touch and some quite good running off the ball as well, especially by the number 4 there, Järvinen, who's having quite a game on the left-hand side. Number 2, Remes, is supporting him from behind, and it's down this left side that they've occasionally embarrassed Liverpool. Here's Walters. Didn't take the ball with him. McManaman's off again, but Kinnunen, the number 9, is sticking to the task. Doesn't think it was a corner either, but that's what the referee's given. With 10 minutes gone in the second half. First sign of tantrums. I don't think it's a free kick there. David Burrows making up his own rules. Anyway, it's a corner to Liverpool. There's Rush. And there's an appeal against him and the free kick's been given. Oh, and dear me, someone got knocked over there. Mark Walters involved in a bit of a scuffle in the penalty area. And there was an arm went out there, and the referee, I'm not sure how much of it he saw. Well, Walters was involved in the thick of that. And the cop aren't happy. But it's put a bit of edge into the evening, as the temperature certainly of the match rises. And the fans begin to make it sound as Anfield used to sound on every European night. Houghton. Nicol. McManaman let it run on. Houghton's there. And Saunders and Rush were coming racing into the 6-yard box, but he couldn't quite reach it. Just want to try and catch a... Yes, he got struck there, Mark Walters, didn't he? I think it was Sastermoinen, possibly, who was the offender. And that's why the fans behind the goal were booing. They clearly thought that was something the referee should have spotted and dealt with. Annunen. Lettinen's on the far side, and he's making Ablett turn. As Alan Hansen was saying at half-time, Trevor, there have been one or two moments when the Liverpool back players have been made to look decidedly uncomfortable.
I think the main problem has been they found it strange to only have one person to mark, and when you play a flat back four, not experiencing it before, they haven't picked up the deep runners from midfield and have been leaving it for the midfield men, whereas the back people have got to look out for anyone running deep, and that's why they've been caught very square on occasions.
Well, now Abbott's got a chance to come forward, but he came halfway and stopped. So nobody was actually committed there, but he's got another chance now. And he floats a good ball in, McManaman. Oh, that's a save by the keeper. And a super one, too, by Rovio from McManaman. This is a good ball by Gary Ablett, beautifully placed. McManaman hits it early on the volley. Terrific save. Corner pull back to McMahon. Nicol. Looking for Tanner, away by Järvinen. McMahon out to Burrows. Plenty of players in the middle for Liverpool. Saunders should have scored.
Another great early cross here by Burrows. Dean Saunders just behind him. I think he just made his run a little bit too early and it's just clipped off. As you see him coming in here, he jumps just behind, just comes up the top of his head and couldn't direct it down. And the crowd whistling a little bit here because the ball was knocked away, a bit of time wasted.
And Graham Souness knows that 2-1 will not do. And they'll all be relieved on that bench to see the third one go in, if and when it does. Here comes Houghton. Offside Rush. Ian Rush's very first goal for Liverpool came in a European tie against Finnish opposition back in 1981. I think Liverpool may have scored 10 that night. They certainly don't look like scoring 10 here. Good header on, and with 15 minutes gone in the second half, it's still looking a very difficult job for Liverpool to pull clear of these part-timers from Finland. But here's Rush. Now shouts from behind the goal for handball against number 5 Janti, but Nothing given. Normal European rules about the substitutes, you can bring on maximum of 2, so having used Walters, Graham Souness would have Carter, Hartness, Hutchison or Redknapp in reserve. Not much experience there, really. Forward by Ablett. McMahon. On to Nicol. And Rush coming in on the far side. It's that final ball again, though, that the former Liverpool captain was talking about at half-time, which is not being delivered particularly well. Burrows. Oh, Saunders pulled right away. He's onside. He's got Walters in the middle. Rush is joining him. And there's Walters. The goalie missed it as well. This is Rush. Nicol.
Liverpool just starting to lift that tempo. Dean Saunders made a super run along the back line to keep on side, and again a good cross, which I'm sure Robbio was very relieved, because he seemed all at sea when he came for the cross, but it eluded everyone.
Good turn there by Annunen, the number 11. And now Lehtinen looks for Belfield, and Tanner having to match him stride for stride. And Belfield, well, the referee's blown. Belfield seems to have a good way of holding off opponents, on that occasion illegally, but he's an awkward player, I would think, to have to mark. So, it's still 2-1. I hardly need remind you in European competition that if it stayed that way and then Liverpool lost 1-0 in Finland, perish the thought they'd be out. Here's Saunders. Ablett. Belfield. Leighton. McMahon did well, but not the second time. Lahti are winning quite a few 50-50 tackles at the moment. There goes Kinnunen, and he's won that one as well against Ablett. Belfield in the centre, so is Lehtinen. And Noonan arriving now, and it came off him.
They've got great enthusiasm at the moment. You can sense as the game has worn on that any apprehension they may have had arriving at Anfield has gradually disappeared, and they feel as if they definitely have got a chance now in this on both ties. But I still feel Liverpool, if they can just compose themselves, as you say, in that final ball, they should still win and get further goals this evening.
Yes, I think you'll find that Kuusysi have surprised themselves with the amount of the play they've had, or been allowed to have. They didn't see themselves getting over the halfway line quite as often as has been the case. Here's Nicol. Saunders. Steve Nicol to deliver the throw. Walters, Nicol. Saunders up, goalkeeper managed to do enough. And it's when Lahti break from these positions that they've sometimes embarrassed the Liverpool back players. McMahon. Well, the evening wears on. We've now been playing 20 minutes in the second half, and the score is still 2-1 to Liverpool. Here comes Lehtinen, but didn't get hold of that properly. Burrows. McManaman. Ablett. Well, Lahti have got everybody back behind the ball. Walters won it back, and now McMahon, 3 the other way for Liverpool. But the tackling at the moment is good on the part of the Finnish team. And so is some of the passing. It's quite imaginative when they break. Saunders took a bit of a bash there from Sastamoinen as he headed the ball back, but he's back on his feet. This is Burrows now, with McManaman on the far touchline. He seems to go past the first man so effortlessly. Here he is again. But then it seems to peter out a bit. His final delivery hasn't been quite what he's promised. Here's Burrows. Rushes there, and so too number 4, Petri Järvinen. Now Nicol. Walters. It's going to come to Burrows. McManaman. Saunders. Nicol. Comes off Belfield. And that's Anjunen, a good pass. He was felled by Walters, and now through goes Järvinen, and look where Hooper had to come. This is getting increasingly worrying for Liverpool. They're not playing well, and they're leaving gaps. Here's Houghton. McManaman now. Oh, it's a bad slice by Remes. Saunders. McManaman, could this be the one? No, Kinunen's right in front of him again.
At the other end, it was a great saving tackle, almost playing as a sweeper, wasn't he, Mike Hooper? And the through ball had again beaten the flat back 4. And there is the man coming out of the 18-yard box, and as I say, almost a sliding tackle to save the day.
Well, a lot was made of Liverpool's return to Europe and what sort of an emotional night it might be. At the moment, their supporters are getting increasingly frustrated, and not just with the little bit of time wasting. Here's Houghton. Onside, Saunders, surely. Ian Rush ran 30 yards to get that tackle, and it's that desperate now. As indeed was the one that you referred to from Hooper, the challenge in the Liverpool half. Here's Nicol. Walters. And here's Nicol. Good save. Well blocked by the goalkeeper. A nice calm play by Remes, the number 2 as well. In fact, more than that, he set an attack up here. Well, it's something of a turn-up, isn't it, Trevor?
It is. I thought the ball in from Mark Walters, it was a great run by Stephen Nicol. I thought it wasn't a good ball, actually. It was overhit. It was a very simple one to play him in, and I think Nicol was disappointed that he ended up with first aid ball with the goalkeeper in the end, and it was a good opportunity. But that, I think, is all Liverpool have to do. I think they're getting a bit anxious, and sometimes they're knocking it in too early.
Well, let's see what they can do this time. It's McManaman. Houghton. Saunders. Houghton again. Oh, little exchange between McMahon and Lehtinen. This is Houghton. Nicol. Well collected with 20 minutes to go in this UEFA Cup first leg. The crowd are bellowing because they don't like the fact that Rovio hangs onto the ball, but Many an English goalkeeper has done that on European soil. And you wouldn't begrudge that on Kuusysi's part, because they have performed here, up to now, beyond all expectations. Perhaps Liverpool below theirs. McMahon. Nicol. Järvinen. Up to now, the finest moment that Kuusysi had in Europe was in 1986. They got to the quarter-finals of the Champions Cup and lost to the eventual winners, Steaua Bucharest. But, this will be a match they'll remember. Lehtinen. It's rapidly becoming one that Liverpool might want to forget. Remis. Sastamoinen. That's a good ball, but he's offside.
Although I think we should say, a bit disappointed the way Liverpool perhaps have played. We also should acknowledge and give credit to a finished display, as you say, which I think has surpassed expectations. And they're full of running, aren't they? And not tiring as perhaps we thought they may do.
Yes, I like their touch and technique as well. They've got some good footballers out there. McManaman for Liverpool. Walters. That's floating straight into the goalkeeper's arms.
Well, the old goalkeeper, I think, was giving a smile at the photographers for that one. There was no need to die for that. Liverpool all crowded in at the near post, and it was a poor cross, one of those hanging up in the air as well. I think the whipped-in ones are the speed are the ones that seem to trouble him.
Well, Liverpool used to coast through the first round quite often of European competitions in days gone by. It certainly hasn't been that sort of cakewalk tonight, but anywhere near it. This is Walters. Houghton. Well, they've been out of Europe for 6 years, and on this evidence, it shows. So many players who haven't had experience, as we said at the very beginning, in this sort of football, and there might even be a learning process to go through for some. This is Belfield. The Finland player who's down on the far side is Lehtinen, holding his leg. McMahon. Walters. Oh, there's been a collision in the box. Ian Rush went down, but he's up again now. Ablett. Nicol. Walters. Tanner. Into Saunders by Nicol. And quickly out again. And number 7, Lehtinen, needs attention. He's one of their youngest players, 21. Had a year in Switzerland with Lugano last season and has come back to Kuusysi and done pretty well tonight with the few attacks they've had. Vekakovsky is preparing, number 16, and with a quarter of an hour left, Liverpool would not have anticipated such a close score at this stage of the evening. Down there, I can see the, there he is, Antti Murinen, who will become something of a hero back home if it stays like this. He's entitled to feel that his plans have worked out pretty well. He's condensed Liverpool's attacking play, forced them into hurried errors, and shown that his team are no mean performers on the break. But he has got to make a change now, because Lehtinen cannot continue. So this will be the first substitution by the team from Finland, and on goes Sami Verkakovski, who's 22, and normally fits into the midfield. This is Tanner, Nicol, Saunders, Walters, Nicol's cross, and the goalkeeper too has grown in confidence. The crowd thought that he shoved Ian Rush a bit.
I think when the central defenders gave Ian Rush a tap on the head, suggested he shouldn't challenge the goalkeeper, because European footballers, and you can see Yanti pointing to him and say, look, you shouldn't touch our goalkeeper like that. And Ian Rush, not sure what Ian Rush's finish is like, although to be fair, most of the Finns do speak English. That is their first language they learn at school.
Well, I obviously don't think the crowd can blame the referee. Here's Verkakovski. It's been a stuttering Liverpool performance from the time the Finns got a goal back. McMahon. Burrows. Now McManaman in space. Saunders! And a huge wave of relief goes round Anfield, because it's taken Liverpool 78 minutes to go 3-1 up, and here McManaman does get in the telling cross. That's what's been lacking. Saunders meets it, and in it goes. I think probably from this we'll get a better idea of what happened in there, because as Saunders goes in with the header, the keeper just can't get across to it. Point-blank range, really, Trevor.
Well, I think two things there. Steve McManaman, I'm sure, will learn a lesson there. The good early cross. Dean Saunders coming in just behind his marker, Sastamoinen, and headed it down. I'm sure I was kind on the first goal with the goalkeeper, Ravio, but I have to say it was a 6-yard box header. It was a longish cross, and I think a lot of goalkeepers would have come and collected that one.
Yes, he's had a mixed night, hasn't he? He's made some one or two good saves, but looked a little bit questionable, maybe on all the goals, I don't know. But anyway, Saunders has got his second, so that's a good start statistically for him in his first European game. But more to the point, that 3-1 lead looks a whole lot more comfortable than 2-1 was looking. And with 11 minutes to go, I wonder if that will just open things up for Liverpool to finish with the sort of score that you might have expected from this first leg. McMahon. Burrows. McManaman again. Annunen. Saunders again, now on a hat-trick, of course. Doesn't get the free kick there. This is Mike Belfield, who looked one way and then the other. Now Remes. Burrows having to turn. Houghton into Saunders now. McMahon, it can run on perhaps for Walters. Remes in with the challenge. 9 minutes left in this first leg. Liverpool 3, Kuusysi Lahti 1. McManaman, McMahon. Tanner. McMahon, Rush. It'll take Ian Rush more than one game perhaps to get back to the sharpness that is so much part of his game. Belfield. Vekakovsky, the substitute, over on that side. That challenge by Mike Hooper, or interception perhaps I should call it, halfway inside his half, becomes more and more important, because if he hadn't done that, we could have been back at 2-2. Here's Walters. Hablets. Houghton waiting to see what movements occurring ahead of him. Not much was the answer. Burrows. It might now. Houghton again, but they're blocking the angles, the Finns. Walters. McManaman trying to get round the back. Kinnunen is sticking to him, as he has most of the evening, or tried to. Number 9. Burrows now. Houghton. Saunders. Well, in the last 7 minutes, Liverpool could probably push the tie beyond Kuusysi's reach. They're 3-1 up. You'd think that probably would be enough, but it would be far safer with 4, wouldn't it? Foul. Well, I have to say, I think the referee was right there. I think it was a case of an arm up by Ian Rush. And a second substitution by Kuusysi. Annunen, the 31-year-old number 11, has come to the line. And number 15, Valery Glusakov, who's actually of Soviet extraction, so you could, I suppose, describe him as one of the foreigners permitted. He comes on at number 15 as the second Lahti substitute. And it goes without saying, of course, that Liverpool can't lose track of things at their end, because 3-2 would be just as bad as 2-1. Here's Rush. It's gone beyond McManaman to Burrows, and still, oh! Corner. McManaman. Houghton. Saunders! And he scored a hat-trick on his European debut at club level. And in passing, his first hat-trick for Liverpool after that massive transfer 4 minutes from the end, Trevor, and number 3 for Saunders, number 4 for Liverpool.
Again, showing that when a striker tries to get away from his mark and gets that yard or two of space, if the cross comes in early, as it did on that occasion, there he is in front of his marker, the faintest of touches. He's very good for a small player. He does jump well, and the timely glancing header, reminiscent of the old Spurs days. Alan Gilzean, who was probably the best flicked header that I've seen, but that was a fine finish and a hat-trick, as you say. I'm sure he'd enjoy this evening, Dean Saunders.
And Houghton puts the ball through. It nearly ran for Rush, and in these last few minutes, the match and the tie takes on a different complexion. 2 goals in 8 minutes has made it from a very uneasy 2-1 into a more realistic, from the Liverpool point of view, 4-1. And Saunders has made the difference. McManaman to Walters. McManaman again. And he's in. Walters is there. Saunders! Oh, another one! It's all coming right now. 5-1 to Liverpool and 4 for Dean Saunders. Goalkeeper couldn't hold it, and he fired that one in joyfully.
Great skill again by McManaman. Walters got the toe ender. Ian Rush possibly offside on that first shot, but as it comes back out to Dean Saunders, 5-1.
And we have a moment of history, I think, Trevor, because I'm pretty certain that in their long European history, Liverpool have never had a player scoring 4 in a game, certainly no more than 4. Anyway, Ian Rush's best, I think, is 3. So Dean Saunders there has probably written himself into the Liverpool record books. There are 2.5 minutes to go, and 3 goals in quick succession have transformed the evening from Liverpool's point of view. And at 5-1, you can pretty safely say that Kuusysi... Oh, Belfield tries a cheeky one. I was about to say that Kuusysi are out of the tie, but Belfield had other ideas for a moment there. Graham Souness himself scored a hat-trick here in a European game, but he didn't get to 4. McMahon. Houghton. This is Burrows. That's a bit of push and shove, and it's given Järvinen a little bit of room against Nicol. Mike Belfield alone on the far post. He's been picked up now. Still Järvinen. And taken first time there by Gary Ablett. Well, it looks as though Dean Saunders has written a little bit of Liverpool history there. Funny, isn't it, that Ian Rush tonight hasn't got among the goals. Wonder what price you'd have got for Liverpool scoring 5, Trevor, and Ian Rush not being a scorer.
Well, you'd have got a very long odds, I would have thought, about a quarter of an hour ago when it was 2-1. I think in the end it's ended up a rather flattering scoreline. I'm sure Graham Souness won't be fooled because the Finns have played very well. And as I say, 5-1 I think is a bit of sympathy for the Finns. They'll go into the dressing room and be very disappointed. But Liverpool and Graham Souness will know another night they could have been punished more severely for some of their complacency.
Yes, I think that's a very fair summing up of what we've seen, Trevor. We are, in fact, in stoppage time now at the end of the 90 minutes in this first leg of the UEFA Cup. And the evening ends on a high note for Liverpool, and in particular for Dean Saunders, and the Kop are giving Ian Rush a little bit of vocal backing. Perhaps as consolation for the fact that, unusually, he hasn't found himself among the goals. McManaman. Here's Ray Houghton. Well, that first European match was 6-1 back in 1964. So it would be fitting, I suppose, on a night like this if Liverpool could score just one more. On that occasion, in fact, it was the second leg. But here's Burrows. McMahon. Houghton. Saunders to his left, still hungry. Walters. Still Walters. Houghton's in there. And Liverpool score again. Ray Houghton gets his second. And how appropriate that the score is now 6-1. The cross by Walters, Houghton scores a header for the second time in the game. That's something of a collector's item. But on the night that European football returns to Anfield, the score at the moment is as it was the very first time a European match was played here. 6-1 to Liverpool, and that is how it finishes. 2 for Houghton, 6 for Liverpool. And the other 4 all going to the £2.9 million man, Dean Saunders from Derby. And you wouldn't have believed it on 78 minutes when it was still 2-1. But in those last 12 minutes, probably a little bit more counting stoppage time when Houghton scored, Liverpool added 4 goals and turned what had been an awkward match, to say the least, for them up to that time, into something of a procession at the end, led by Saunders. And so they walk off on this symbolic night with the cheers of the Kop ringing in their ears. And Kuusysi Lahti not really done justice by a 6-1 defeat, bearing in mind they made life very tricky for Liverpool for at least 3/4 of the game. But it does mean that in this UEFA Cup tie, Liverpool are as good as through to the second round. They'll have to go to Finland in a fortnight's time, with the formality, one would think, of that 6-1 lead. But that's the position as European football comes back to Liverpool, 6-1 winners. And
well, Dean Saunders is a player who's been given a free transfer in his time, but I think, Alan, we saw tonight why he's worth that kind of huge money.
Yeah, 4 goals, a great start in European competition from... We're sitting here laughing, but at one stage I thought we were going to be sitting here crying because it was a bad performance all round from Liverpool. I mean, 6-1 in the end really flattered them.
But there might be question marks over that Liverpool performance against the Bayern Munichs, the Inter Milans, these kind of clubs that that they'll have to face, do you think?
Yeah, I think Trevor made the point. If the opposition had been a bit stiffer, I think they would have made Liverpool pay. Yeah. But I mean, I think before the start of the game they would have settled for 6-1. The Liverpool camp are experienced enough to know that that performance wasn't one of the better ones.
OK, Alan, thank you very much indeed. But a great night there for Dean Saunders. Liverpool almost certainly, I would have thought, through to the next round of the UEFA Cup. Now, we're back with Sports Night at 10:45 tonight, when there'll be highlights of this match again. If you missed all the goals, we'll see Rangers in the European Cup. And if you're a golfer, I am, and he is, he's a good one, actually, then you'll want to watch a special golf report. 10:45, Sports Night. We'll see you again then.